John Lancaster. We're going to be giving you a presentation this morning on what the role is of the energy hubs. So do you just want to move on to the next slide, please, Alex? So yeah, what are energy hubs? Well, some of you may have already heard of us or be familiar with what we do, but for those who aren't, we were set up in 2018 as part of BEIS's the Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy Department of the government, as part of their local energy programme, and we work in very closely with the local enterprise partnerships. We were funded by BEIS to accelerate the growth of local energy projects. And how do we do this? Well, we work with stakeholders, and these stakeholders can include local enterprise partnerships, public sector organisations such as local authorities, as well as other central government departments, including Department for Transport, Office for Low Emissions Vehicle and the Heat Networks Delivery Unit. And we work with all these different stakeholders to identify and find ways of to overcome existing barriers in local energy projects. And these barriers may be political barriers, they may be financial barriers, they may be resource barriers in terms of just simply having local authorities having the staff in place to be able to take and drive forward these different projects and opportunities. So we work with these stakeholders very closely to try and overcome these various different barriers, and also to identify other project opportunities and to get these all these local energy projects to an investment ready stage. A lot of the work and the identification of projects that we do is very much driven by by the government, and particularly on the sort of local level, the local energy strategies that have been developed in each of the areas by the local enterprise partnerships. So some of you may be familiar with the strategy that covers the Future South area, which is a south to east energy strategy, and I believe also there's a solar energy strategy as well that's been done. So under the south to east energy strategy, for example, there's a number of different project models and project themes listed. So with all the work that we're doing to identify projects, we sort of work closely to ensure that the projects align with those different themes and various project models. So, and John and myself, like I say, I work for the Greater South East Energy Hub, and John works for the South West Energy Hub, and we're two of the 5 hubs in England as shown on the map here. All of the hubs, they work in collaboration, especially where our areas border each other. So such as here in the Future South area, John and myself work very closely together because we both cover the county of Hampshire, for example. So there's a lot of opportunities there for projects where we can work collectively on in order to be able to engage with the different stakeholders there. And although we operate at arm's length from BEIS, we do report directly to BEIS all our, in terms of our key performance indicators that we're measured on, and our board as well as being governed by BEIS. We've also governed by each of the LEPs that covers our areas, and that's the same for all the other, all 5 energy hubs across England. So do you just move on to the next slide, please? Thank you. So yeah, just to sort of go into a bit more detail around what we do. This is going to be covered a bit more in terms of specific examples of work that we're supporting, which both John and myself will be presenting on. But this just kind of gives an overview of the type of activity that we're involved in, as well as the actual specific energy projects that we're supporting. We also administer the Rural Community Energy Fund, which John's going to talk in a bit more depth about later, in terms of specific projects that we've also supported under that. And also from next year, some of you may be familiar with the Green Homes Grant and the Local Authority Delivery Scheme. And we're going to be, it's the £300 million of that, which is going to be administered through the energy hubs from next year onwards. And just want to move on to the next slide, please. So this just gives an overview of the other activities that the hubs deliver. So in addition, to different specific projects, we're supporting and developing other pieces of work, and all this work is basically designed to support the growth and delivery of local energy projects. The next slide, please. So since the energy hubs were set up in 2018, we've worked with the local authority, local enterprise partnerships and stakeholders across England to develop a pipeline of project opportunities that we're actively supporting. So, so far, as you can see through this, we've managed to get over £25 million worth of local energy projects either funded or to an investment ready stage. And collectively across all 5 hubs, we're supporting nearly 300 live projects. And these projects have got a combined value of over £1.3 billion. These are sort of a broad range of projects, and as you can see, they reflect a lot of different policy trends, government trends as well. And this includes, as you can see, in terms of the largest number of different projects that we're supporting, renewable generation, particularly solar PV. Again, I'll talk in a bit more detail about this later, but a lot of the work we're doing in the Greater South East Hub has been focused on doing surveys and assessments around opportunities for solar PV, whether that be ground-mounted, roof-mounted or solar car parks, as well as quite a big focus on heat decarbonisation, and particularly through the public sector decarbonisation scheme that's recently been launched, which again I'll cover in a bit more detail later. So yeah, and that sort of leads me on quite nicely. So if you just go to the next slide, please, Alex. So really, in terms of what all this activity looks like locally, so I'm just going to hand over to John Lancaster now.